Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of animating with Bytebeat tutorial. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, I'll provide a link so you're able to follow along with us as we're going to be building off the exact same techniques that we started in that one. In this video we're going to be dealing with combination switches and some overlapping so that we can get some movement on screen. Let's start off by building a circuit similar to this one, with a 3-pixel scrolling bar. Okay, here we have a circuit that's the exact same as the one I showed you in part 1. We have a power source, a Bytebeat, and 4 Bytebeat switches. I put some decals out front so you can see which beat they're actually triggering on, and there's also a green light that's on the front of the switch that'll show you when it's triggering as well. This will be helpful later. Now if we want to get that 3-bar scrolling effect that I showed you earlier, we're going to have some pixels that fire on 2 beats at once. I'll show you what happens if we try to make it with just 1, 2s, and 3s and 4s here. So if we wired this all using individual beats, you can see the effect that we have. It's moving across the screen, but there's no shared pixels between frames. And if we try to cross them over, we're going to end up merging 2 frames into one. So what we need to do to solve this problem is make a switch that'll trigger on 2 beats at once and figure out where that'll lie in our pattern. I'll show you. Okay, now we have our 1, 2, and 3, and 4 firing. Now what we have to do is make these pixels in between share beats. So how we're going to do that is we're going to look at this pixel right here. Now this pixel, we want it to fire on a 1 and a 2 at the same time, but remember we can't cross circuits. So what we're going to do is make a combination switch for it. Okay, now you can see here I made another switch. I connected it up to the Bytebeat and I wrote a 1 and a 2 in front of it. So I know that this switch is going to trigger on beats 1 and 2. Now if I go inside here and program it for 1 and 2, if we look on the green light on front, it's going to trigger while 1 and 2 on these switches trigger and then turn off during the 3 and 4. Now we want to put that switch right in between these 2 pixels so we get that shared movement effect. And there you go. There's the beginning steps of it. So now our next one that we have to make is going to be shared between a 2 and a 3. So let's make that one next. Okay, now we're just going to program this one for beats 2 and 3. And we're going to wire it up to the pixel that's right between the 2 and 3 frames. Our next one's going to be a 3 and a 4 shared pixel right here. Let's make that one. Okay, wire this one to 3 and 4. And then let's place it between the 3 and the 4 pixel. Now we have one last one to do, and this one seems counterintuitive. You could place it at the back or the front, it doesn't really, but this one's going to be a 4 and a 1 combination. Because right here is our 4, and then if we scroll over back to the beginning, here's our 1 right there. So let's make a switch for 4 and 1. And let's wire that last one up. Okay, that looks about right. Now let's just color it in. Okay, and there's the effect I showed you earlier, the 3 pixel scrolling across. using 8 Bytebeat switches. Now, I space these out just for a little organization. They can totally be all next to each other. You can set these up however you'd like, as long as you remember what triggers on what. And you can see here the green lights are still indicating when they're going to be on and off. Now we can use these exact same techniques, but on a bigger canvas to get more movement and more intricate images. Let's hop over to another build. Okay, here you can see the exact same circuit I had set up earlier. I got my Bytebeat, 4 Bytebeat switches. It's hard to see the green flashing light because it's really bright out, but I numbered them off here with decals. So you can see they're triggering on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now up here, I have a big canvas that I want to work on, and I want to get a ball animation to move across it. So let's say that this will be our first frame here. And then maybe I want my second frame to lie up here. And right here, you can see that we're going to have some overlap. And that's going to be between my first and second frame. So what we're going to do is make a combination switch for that overlap right there. Okay, so here's my 1 and 2 switch. I'm going to wire this for beats 1 and 2. I'm going to wire this all up at the end because it makes things a little bit easier. Now let's figure out our third frame here. Maybe it'll lie right here. And you can see right here, we're going to have overlap of 2 pixels between frame 2 and frame 3. So let's make another combination switch for these 2 pixels right here. And we'll wire this one up for 2 and 3. Okay, for our fourth and final frame of animation, maybe we'll have it lie right here. And the bottom will go off screen. So this one doesn't actually have any combinations with the previous frames before it. Well, let's add back in our first frame and see if there's any collision there. So you can see right here, frames 1 and 4, 4 and 1 are going to collide on this pixel. So let's make a combination switch for that one. And we'll program this for 1 and 4. Okay, first let's wire up our pixels that don't have any combinations on them. So our 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. Okay, we got all of our individual pixels wired up. Now let's wire up the combos in order. So we have a 1 and a 2 right here. This is going to fall right where frames 1 and 2 collide. Then we have a 2 and a 3. It's going to be on these 2 pixels here, where frames 2 and 3 collide. And lastly, we have a 1 and a 4, where the first and fourth frame collide. Right on this pixel right here. Okay, let's color this all up and wait for it to get a bit darker to see the effect. Okay, and here's the final effect. Now you can expand this out left or right as far as you want, barring the part limit lets you. And just remember that wires also count as a part. So basically, your canvas can only be half the size you want it because the wires will get in the way. So you can get a maximum canvas size of 1500 parts, and that's not counting your Bytebeat switches or any other electrical components you might have. Now when you're doing a simple animation like this, it's pretty easy to eye out where your overlaps are and what combination you need. But when you're doing a more complex image, you'll probably want to chart things out on Excel or another spreadsheet program and see where your frames overlap and chart them out with 1s, 2s, 3s, or 4s. I'll get into more of that in the next video. Okay, this has been the second part of the Animating with Bytebeat tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments section. In the next part of the tutorial, I'll go over animating with base notes so you can have more than 4 frames at once. Alrighty, have a great day and take care. See ya.